policy says people are making too much of a big deal out of this Hillary Clinton email scandal. That in an interview with CBS News, that's not likely to silence Clinton's critics. Donald Trump hitting Clinton very hard after Friday's FBI document dump on its investigation into her use of private emails when she was Secretary of State. Among the revelations, giving fuel to her critics, Clinton told investigators she didn't know the letter C on her emails meant, confidential. Brian Yennis is live in our New York City newsroom with the details. Brian?
Hi, Greg. Well, the Clinton campaign is saying they welcome the release of these FBI notes because they say it proves Clinton did not intentionally mishandle classified information because she did not know she was doing anything wrong. In the interview, she said more than 36 times she could not recall key details, like she could not recall receiving training on handling classified documents. She did not understand C markings meant classified or confidential and did not realize drone strike discussions were classified. Yesterday, her running mate Tim Kaine defended Clinton's, saying it's hard to discern classified information.
Now, I'm on two committees in the Senate, the Armed Services and Foreign Relations committees, where we do look at classified material. But we look at so much material, unless it is specifically pulled out and identified, it is difficult to know sometimes whether a statement or a paragraph is classified or not. And that's what she was saying.
Clinton says she trusted her subordinates not to send classified material to her email account. Greg?
What's the latest reaction from the Trump campaign, Brian?
Well, Donald Trump says these notes further prove she's unfit to be president, tweeting yesterday, and I quote, "Lyin Hillary Clinton told the FBI that she did not know the C markings on documents stood for classified. How can this be happening?" Trump's running mate, Mike Pence, also weighing in.
It's just more evidence that Hillary Clinton is the most dishonest candidate for president of the United States since Richard Nixon. Hillary Clinton operated in such a way to keep her emails and particularly her interactions while Secretary of State with the Clinton Foundation out of the public reach, out of public accountability.
Republicans particularly pointing out that things like that the FBI was unable to recover any of her 13 mobile devices because some were destroyed by Hammer. Greg?
All right, Brian Yennis. Brian, thanks. Let's bring back our panel now. Morgan Ortagus, who is a political strategist, former State Department press officer, national co-chair of the conservative Maverick PAC. Julie Rodzinski joins us, Democratic strategist, Fox News political analyst, former advisor to the late Senator Lautenberg. Thank you for being with us. But Morgan, let me start with you this time. Just former State Department press officer, national co-chair of the conservative Maverick PAC. Julie Rodzinski joins us, Democratic strategist, Fox News political analyst, former advisor to the late Senator Lautenberg. Thank you for being with us. But Morgan, let me start with you this time. What's really striking is that Hillary Clinton seems to know absolutely nothing about classification of documents. She's America's top diplomat. She is the keeper of the country's closely guarded secrets, top secret, classified, and so forth. She didn't know anything about it. Didn't even know how to mark them. Didn't know how, when presented with it, to identify them. Does it raise serious questions about competence?
Well, listen, I think in this instance, we could say that C not only stands for classified, but it also stands for crooked, to quote Mr. Trump's favorite phrase. As somebody who worked at the State Department and the Treasury Department, we had to go through, I'm trying to remember, I think it was at least once a quarter, half a year, trainings about classification markings, how to handle this information. It's really incredulous to me, and I think what we're going to see is that this is going to continue to hit her poll numbers. What you've seen the support that has the polls have tightened up in the past few weeks. It's not that Donald Trump has actually gained support. It's that Hillary Clinton is losing support because this goes again to her issue of credibility and how she can look the FBI in the face and say, I didn't know what C stands for. It's something that I think even the person who sweeps the floor at the State Department knows what C stands for.
When people are questioning, Donald Trump in particular, the health of Hillary Clinton, right or wrong, here she is telling the FBI, I can't remember anything because I got hit on the noggin in 2012 and had a concussion. That's only going to fuel the doubt.
She is a lawyer. and as you were a lawyer, and I think she gave very precise answers to keep herself out of legal trouble.
Now, you know what lawyers tell their client? They,
what?
When in doubt, say, I can't remember, because you can't get in trouble.
There you go.
Yeah, but oftentimes clients take that to mean, say, I don't remember anything, and that way you can't get in trouble.
As I said, I think Morgan's right. It belies any credibility that she didn't really know what she was saying or what she was doing. I think this was a very lawyerly...
So you think she lied?
I think it was a very lawyerly response. I think it was parsed.
You think she lied?
I think it was parsed.
You're calling it lawyerly, but
I'm
really it's lying.
I would never sell your profession that way by calling you all liars. I think it was a very legalese
Well,
way.
in this case, you know, she's the client.
I think it was very legally parsed, the way her husband at one point very much legally parsed the definition of innocent is, right? But Morgan, I'm not going to disagree with anything you say. I've never had a classification background, but I did work in government. You do have trainings where you're taught to look at these things very carefully. She must have known, and I think she did what Morgan basically alluded to her doing.
You know, and here she is putting out Tim Kaine, her running mate, yesterday and today to defend her, and he hauls off in a televised interview, and he says, you know, it's just one device. No, it was 13 devices. If you're going to put somebody out to defend you, especially if he's your VP nominee, got to educate the guy, don't you?
You know, I was on vacation last week and I was in a different time zone, so I woke up to the news about the 8 BlackBerries and I think it was another 5 iPads that were destroyed, lost, potentially with a hammer. And I had to rub my eyes when I woke up to read this news, and I thought, are they serious? And what's worse is that, in the eyes of many people who are disgusted with this election, is that they feel like she's getting away with it. I don't understand how she can how she can go out through November and not know that her credibility is going to be attacked, and that the American people just don't trust her on these issues. And
Hillary Clinton, by the way, is live in Cleveland right now. We're kind of monitoring what she's saying there. But speaking of her, Julie, the Department of Justice said, hand over your 13 mobile devices. Guess what? Nobody knows where they are. How convenient. And now we learned today, in a new report, she had a laptop and a thumb drive with the archives of all her emails, and she directed one of her aides to send it in the mail, and guess what? Lost in the mail.
Oh, well, there goes the United States Postal Service.
This really kind of stinks, doesn't it?
It does stink. It does stink, and I have to say from day one, I never defended this practice with the email. I never understood it. I think it goes back to this compulsive secrecy that she's always been obsessed with, and I think it doesn't benefit her. It ultimately backfired against her.
Does the stink stick to her, or is it already baked in? You know, people have already made up their minds. Yeah, I don't like her. She's 2/3 think she's dishonest.
If you think she's crooked, and that's what you're voting on, you're not voting for her. But as I keep saying, people keep laughing at me. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and she is running against a man who himself is very distrusted.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, both of these candidates are very well known. They don't need to introduce themselves to the American public. They know everything they need to know about her. They know pretty much everything they need to know about him. And at this rate, the problem is it pretty much is baked in for both of them.
What does it say about candidate Donald Trump that he's losing to Hillary Clinton, who 2/3 of Americans think is dishonest?
Well, if I were his campaign, I'd say that it represents an opportunity still. And where I slightly disagree with Julie is I don't think it is entirely baked in yet, because she's lost the 8-point national lead that she had over him after her convention.
Yeah.
It's gone down to 4 or 5 points. It's about 3 to 4 points. Most states, save Pennsylvania, where she does have a very big lead. So I think that there is still an opportunity for him. As I said earlier, it's going to be really, really ugly between now and November. He can win, but it's going to be ugly because he's going to have to continue to hammer on these issues.
Are these scandals obscuring her message?
The way she's communicating is not to you and to me. The way she's communicating is very precise modeling, which is an incredible art form in campaigns, to specific households, to specific people within those households, whom she needs to win. Places like Cuyahoga County, Ohio. Places like Broward County, Florida. It's not New York, New York, and it's not Fort Worth, Texas. It's places where she's identified people, and that's the people to whom she needs to communicate. Those people are the people she needs to worry about being affected by this.
In 275 days since she held a news conference with the national press. Yeah. Man, you could sell tickets for big bucks to that, which may be one of the reasons why she decides not to do it. There are too many questions, the answers to which she can't possibly utter. Julie Roginski, thank you for being with us. Morgan Ortega, it's good to see you.
Thanks. Happy Labor Day.
All right. President Obama, Russian President Vladimir Putin vowing to work together to try to stop the killing in Syria, but with Russia supporting brutal dictator Bashar al-Assad. Will we really see a change or more of the same talk? We'll talk to a journalist who was just visiting the Syrian border. We'll show you some of her pictures and talk to her about what she learned.